Here we go. Get ready to get into the stream. It's 6 p.m. So let's get rolling. And welcome everybody to the stream. So how y'all doing tonight? Hopefully you're doing well. It's pretty rainy here on the East Coast, so not sure how many people have been doing some flying. I guess different parts of the country, but yeah, pretty big swath of rain it looks like. So it's kind of rough on the flying unless you have that waterproof quad. But welcome to the stream. We will go through some stuff tonight. I got some logs we can take a look at and do any Q&A, questions and answers that any of you all have here on the stream. So go ahead and post those up, and we will get rolling on stuff. Oh, Ireland, coming in from Ireland. So it's a little later, staying up a little late for the stream tonight, I would say. So welcome to the stream. All right, well, without further ado, as folks kind of roll on in here, we can take a peek at some of what we got. I got some stuff from the Discord, and let me get this loaded up here at the same time, if I can. This should go this way, and see if I can get this. There we go. Get that put up here. All right. Get that queued up for you all. 11 p.m.'s not too late. Nah, 11 p.m.'s not too bad. Yeah, I was trying to fix a good spot for a good stream. I like this kind of, I honestly like this hour, so I might kind of settle down with it. I usually have them at different parts of the different times of the weekend just to work it in with family life. Kids playing a lot of basketball. Every weekend's are basketball tournaments. So yeah, keeps me busy. That's a two young boys. One's a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. So the 12-year-old's really getting into basketball recently. He's pretty good. So yeah, a lot of tournaments on the weekend, and it's probably going to get worse. He's probably going to start joining travel and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. But such is life. All right, so let's hop right into it here. I got something here on the Discord from my patrons, and one here is we got a Shendrone's Thick, and if you're not familiar with what that is, I can pull that up. Shendrone's Thick, and then you can see what kind of that looks like. It is a cinelifter class quadcopter. So that's what we're looking at here. So it looks just like this. It's fully loaded. Yeah, there you go. I used this photo before. So that's what she looks like there for a thick. And it's a camera drone, so it's an octocopter. It has blades on bottom and top, and it's just for redundancy. So she's real heavy. We were talking typically over 2,000 grams, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how much they weigh, but they're pretty heavy. So it's a heavy drone, and he's trying to tune it. I'm using my preset, so I have a cinelifter preset out there for braided flight. But when I throttle a bit, it goes up and back down. It wobbles to the moon. You can see it, PID toolbox, no stick inputs, but flies to the moon. So let's check this out. See what we have going on there for that. So that should be this log right here. Let's open that bad boy up and give her a look-see. Come on. There it goes. All right. So this is the log we have of that, and it will, yeah, AT is too high maybe, yeah, possibly. Let's take a look. Got a bunch of tries here. So let's go to the longest try. You can see here what we have. It's like some D-term oscillation. So we're in black box. We're going to open that log up. We're going to take a look-see. It would help to have some HDR video, but we can peer through and just look at the log itself. We're going to be looking at the stick tracking one here. You can see we have some D-term oscillation that we're fighting with. This is interesting. So it looks like it has some forward arming begins. Huh. I'm seeing this set point line here. So this is where the sticks are. Now it's not aligning with this. You would think you would have that moving forward too. It's doing left and right. That's a lot of P-term or D-term oscillation on the pitch axis. And you can, I'm sure he hears it fluttering like crazy when it's doing that. Stick forward, stick back, stick forward. Let's take a look at what we have for settings here. So looking at the settings, you can see the D gains, P gains are not all that high, honestly. So fairly low. This is the slider values. Feed forward, jitter, boost, D-max, advance. So it has dynamic D gains off since these are the same. So that's probably what's set in my preset. And anti-gravity of 15. In the newest release of Betaflight, that is not that high, especially for a cinelifter. Let's look at the noise. See if we have. Oh, we have some raw noise. That's good. Let's take a look at that. So you can see these little red lines are the raw vibrations. Let's go to that and let's see what those look like on the spectrograph. So we can click that and kind of look at the raw vibes. Now it's not much of a flight, but and you can see a lot more dispersed noise here. Hmm. I wonder what this flight controller is. So cinelifters can suffer pretty dramatically from electrical noise, and because there's just so many ESCs and stuff. And I'm looking at this. Kind of what I think is happening here. There's a lot of electrical noise on the pitch axis. And alpha gel soft mount on this payload. So Burke 3D says, I think this guy mentioned he used an alpha gel mount on his payload. Maybe that's contributing to the low frequency oscillations. Possible. This is obviously problematic through here. So there's a couple odd things I'm seeing on here that wouldn't expect to see. Like, why is, although I guess it's just a little bit of deflection here, -2. Should be +2 though. The pitch axis is commanding a 39 degrees per second forward roll or forward pitch movement. I don't know if that is because it's in angle mode. It's doing that, trying to level itself. So let's peer through this a little bit more. So I don't think it's anti-gravity because there's really no throttle. Let's look at the settings here. I got a 0.6 on the filter slider for gyro. We have the dynamic notch down to 80 hertz to 600. We have the RPM filter, 100 with 500, 300. So that's pretty normal stuff. And then we have the D term filter slider at 1.2. So that's fairly normal, 90 to 180. That's reasonable. We have no dynamic idle, so that's not a part of anything. So here is what I would do. And it's not necessarily going to be a silver bullet, but what I think here is, and I could be wrong, but if this is a Luminaire Lux flight controller, which I think is the they used to say it back in the day, which they don't have that anymore. It's not captured anywhere in the logging data that I'm aware of what specific target. Unless it's down here somewhere now. I'm not aware of where we capture that anymore. Again, the specific target name in the log file. Let's see it anywhere in here. Again, it used to be up top. It's not there anymore. Down here. Nope, 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 nope. So what I'm thinking it is electrical noise on the pitch axis is causing the issue. I think we can do to kind of mitigate and see. I mean, the filters are pretty low already, so I don't think you need to lower filters anymore. I think that's kind of as low as it can be for the filtering. But what I would do is, you can load this up here. So he has this setting. We go in here, beta flight, open that up. He has this preset loaded. This one. And let's just see, probably has that. So pick that, hit apply. All right. So coming into here, he has it turned down from there quite a bit yet. So let's look at some of the slider values here. Put that over here. Put this over there. And kind of look at these, compare these. So we got a 1, a 0.3. Got a 1 for tracking. I term. Drift wobbly as that's down to a 0.3. D gain 1.5. D max. So it's not exactly this preset. Dynamic damping is that down to 0. Feed forward, he has that to 0. He has the pitch roll to 100, 100, 100 there. So this is, and then he has that, and that should line up. Yep. So it's not the preset, or it's not at least the latest preset. So that is the settings for that. What I would do is, and then yeah, the anti-gravity. So maybe it's an older version of Bait Flight 2. What do we got now? Yeah, oh, it's 4.3.1. So I'm on 4.4. So there's some difference there. I don't think these are different though at all. I think it's just the anti-gravity gain's different. And then over here, what he's got, 0.6 there, 1.2 here. And then he does have the RPM filter enabled up here. And that's that. So, what I would do. Well, the first thing I would do is I would change the PWM frequency, if not already set, to 48K. I would set that to 48K. So that would be in the ESC settings, so BL Heli 32 or BL Heli S. I would set the low end instead of 6. I think he said he has it lower than that. Is that him or somebody else? No, it wasn't this one. I would definitely set that to 48K at the lower end of it. Normally, I wouldn't make that recommendation. I'd go 24 kilohertz for the PWM frequency setting, for the low PWM frequency setting for a cinelifter, just to give the motors more torque. But when you have electrical noise issues, which is I think is what's going on here, that would, 48K would make that better. because it would be less back EMF and electrical noise. The reason I'm kind of jumping to electrical noise is whenever you go into any of the spectrum graphs, if I come into this pitch axis and you see this broad-based noise like you do here, kind of all across the spectrum, that is a sign of electrical noise. And then that oscillation we're seeing is that 42 or 46 hertz. And you can hold down the shift key and get this little marker so you can kind of see on that. You can see it's around 46, 45 hertz. And then you can confirm just as much by saying, okay, well, I'm going to do just a measure mark point from, and hold down Alt, move one at a time, hit M, and then you can kind of go over here and do the same. You can see, yeah, for, peak to peak. I'm going peak. I zoom in here. Going peak of this magenta line or a cyan line to the peak of that cyan line. And you can see you get around the 45 hertz. It's not perfect. If I measure this one peak to peak, you'll get plus or minus. So that's how you can confirm like what is that spike. So when I'm going into here and I'm seeing this spike, this is because of PIDs, this big huge spike right here. But and it oscillating. But this broad-based noise, that's kind of a sign of electrical noise. The other thing that when I look at it and you see these sharp, jagged changes, like here, see how there's just these very sharp, like even in here, like you see how it just kind of is up here and then juts down and go. Those are kind of, you can almost kind of see it. See how like up here you have this oscillation, right? This motor vibration that's going, it's kind of sinusoidal on the roll axis. But see on the pitch axis how it's kind of more jaggedy? That's a sign of electrical noise issues, to me. Further examination would be warranted. It's not like, oh, case is closed, but that's what I'm suspecting. So 48K, set this to set your ESCs to 48K low, buy RPM high, or just 48K. 48K doesn't. I don't really care what the high end is, or if it's just in BLHeli S ESCs, then they should just be set to 48K or flash the 48K firmware to them. And then from there, what I would do is push down. I mean, this can be lower. You could set this down to a 0.4 for the gyro filter. And then I would probably just take this down to a 0.1 or a 1 for these two filters, just to get your low passes kind of lower. And then what I would do as well is move this down. Move the master down, so you're getting into like maybe like a 0.7. Get your D gains into like the 30s. Now, the objective of this run is to try to get it to fly. Like what I'm seeing on this is, you first got to get the bird in the air before you can worry about optimizing things. And from these 24 and 20-second runs here, it doesn't seem like it's really getting in the air. Looks like you're rocking it back and forth here a little bit. I would guess. I don't know. Maybe it's in the air. If it's in the air, though, she's fluttery as heck. So I would give that a whirl. Again, if I had some HD or whatnot, that would help. But I don't see. Let me see over here. Go to stick tracking. Yeah, it's just all this oscillation on the pitch axis. Your pitch axis is definitely the issue. See if it goes. Arming beep. I don't get anything other than arming beep. Let's go to the end. Flight mode, arming change, arming off user 2, and then something else. Trying to scan across this too to see if there's any sharp and like seeing kind of like that where these jags are coming down. It's not stuff like this where this goes up and then quickly jags back down when you look at it at 1.0. I don't see any big, huge spikes, so that's good. Almost seems like here. Yeah. Roll is for angle mode. Roll is for angle mode. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's stuff like that. I think there's some electrical stuff. So set it to 48K, give that a whirl. Make sure you have good capacitance on it and adjust those settings. Oh, and pitch. Logs. Logs. Forms. So what are we 5.1 FPV? What are you talking about there? You say roll is for angle mode, oh, and pitch, the log. Roll is for angle mode. Well, there we have stick input. Yeah, I'm not following you. It looks like there's some angle mode going on here. I would agree. Yeah, just how they look. I agree. Because I think that's what this is inputting. So if I come up here, if I go to add custom graph or RC commands. Yeah. So I'm getting some inputs here. You can see that RC commands is deflection. It is deflecting. Um, it's not just the set point like we would expect just for angle mode. So there's some stick deflection there going on for roll and pitch. I just don't, there's no stick deflection. Yeah, there's really no stick deflection here, but we still have the set point. So I think this is in angle mode, and that's why these are tipped forward. So yeah, you can look at RC commands and then compare that against your, these are set point. This is what the, set point is what the PID controller is trying to follow. So when you're in rate mode, these two things match essentially. When you're in acro mode or whatever, rate mode, if you have 1500, which is essentially 1498, 1500 and 1000, well, 1000 here is, this is for throttle, so it's down at 0. Then you won't have any set point deflection. It would be around 0 degrees per second. But when in angle mode, you're not setting these manually with your sticks. In angle mode, the accelerometer and where it detects being straight down is setting them. You're giving it this input, but it's really, you're really flying the PID loop prior to the PID loop that's flying the quadcopter, because you're looking at a PID loop that's looking at the accelerometer data, and then that's setting set point, and then the rest is downstream from there. So yeah, but that's what I would take a look at there. Set that. I'm not saying it's going to be the fix, like it's all done. And honestly, I think if that, then you can get in the air, I think it's going to fly like garbage, because these PIDs are going to be way too low. So then you're going to try to want to be bumping this gain up. But I think you'll get to this limit where it will still, you know, maybe the 48K will be okay. But the if you still have a bunch of electrical noise, you might not be able to get these pushed up high enough to actually have it fly well. That's that. All right. So let's get into the next one here. The next one was looking up at this before, and we had somebody checking out on the last stream. They were trying to figure out the optimal setting for feed forward. So gave a bunch of advice on that last time. We're going to take a look at that here again. So bring this down. and he's still struggling with feed forward, as you can see right here. Increase the feed forward up to 1.9 currently. I currently have 1.8. Still, feed forward does not follow the set point. Feed forward is not supposed to follow the set point, but the quadcopter, I think he means the quadcopter is not following a set point as much as you'd like. Also tried feed forward boost from 25 at 25. Currently have it at 15. But feed forward started overtaking the set point, which is good. The only thing that helped was reducing the rates. Yeah, which obviously slower rates. Quad's easier to follow that. So let's take a look at that log. And again, feed forward is a big feel component to it, so kind of just dial it into how you like it to feel. But if you want to chase the rabbit a little bit, we can take a look at this. So let's see what we have here. So opening up this log, we got feed forwards pretty high, 323. Let's see if that's what we have in this one is here as well. Yeah, so that's the same. Feed forward 1.8. Feed forward 1.8. Okay. 64, 64, 51. Oop. Yeah, that. Let's see if these are the same as this one. Yeah, that looks all about the same. See if he was saying he boosted up the, so this is boost of 15, feed forward boost of 15. Let's see what the other one was. So that's 15. Yeah, both 15. So we don't have the log. The log that we have doesn't have it, but the feed forward boost of 25. But let's just see what we got. So this is all about, you know, how well does this quad follow its rates? Yeah, so it's feed forward's a little high in this one, right? So we're going to go take a look at the stick tracking. And the sign that your feed forward is higher than it needs be is when you look at a sharp move, a couple signs on this one, that the feed forward is pushing so hard that the P gain is actually pushing opposite to it. Now you have this overshoot up here, but you're not going to see that in the feed because everything's spinning. You also have this little bit overshoot down in here. You kind of feel that, feel a little wonky possibly, but there's no real bounce back here as well. It kind of corrects before we can get there. But yeah, so feed forward's a little high because you can see that you know, the P term is going the kind of the opposite direction. Let's go to, oops, let's go back to here. Let's see what we see on, yeah, we're kind of seeing that consistently. Now, one thing that folks might try to, you know, you got to take into account that these are isolated moves where you're just full stick deflection. Everything's going to spin. And then the consistency of this following your rates, if you can get that consistent forever quad, that means then each quad will consistently follow your rate, so that timing will be a little bit more precise for you. Quads have different weight to them, so it's not like it's the exact same feel between them all, but yeah, you can get kind of a snappier feel. Obviously, you're taking off that latency. With this amount of feed forward, the gyro is actually exceeding the set point. You know, it's spinning faster than he's actually commanding it to as it's doing its roll move, and you can see that here as well as we saw on the last one. Now you do get to a spot, and we're not seeing it here, where you can get to where the motors just can't keep up, and that's where you see, like, if you're seeing that you're not following your sticks here and you're kind of looking at logs and kind of geeking out on it, it's like, well, why can't I get it to follow it right here? Well, you're saturating your motors, so she's giving it, she's all she's got, and she can't keep up. up at the top when you're going back from full stick deflection back to zero stick, you have that super rate component of your rates where it really spikes up at the end. Well, you're going back the other way, so it goes from like, 1,000 degrees per second down to 500 degrees per second super quick because it's right in that super rate part of the profile of your rate profile. So it's very hard for a quad to keep up on this portion of it. It usually saturates the motors on this side. So that just kind of is what it is. You need more powerful motors or a lower moment of inertia quad to do that. You'd have to get all the weight of the quad more center to the center of gravity, or get more powerful motors. You'd pick one or do both. So that's kind of that. Coming to here, let's see if we've got some more moves. Same thing on pitch. Yeah, you can see the same thing. Where it's actually exceeding, see the little gyro line here is going in advance of the green line. Not by much, but by some. And then we do have an overshoot. Now, if you wanted to lop off this overshoot, what you can do for that is there's this max rate right here in Betaflight. So say you're like, I like this. I want my feed forwards to be the way it was with the 300 or whatever up here. What you can do is, but you don't like this inconsistency where it's overshooting here on the pitch and the roll. What this does is, if you can see here, before we get to max rates, let me just, let me go to another one of these. It's a little easier to see. Let's go to this one. Notice how feed forward kicks off right here before we even got to the max rate. So the sticks are still moving out to, like, watch this stick. You can see it's still moving out to the right. We're at the very end of it, but it's still moving out to the right. But feed forward kicks off. Well, it kicks off because you are 90% of your max rate. You're 90% of the max rate right at this spot. So that's where it's kicking off. So that's what this setting is. So you can set this lower. So you can set this to like 75%. And then what that will do is, as the quad is, pushing to get to its max rate, this peak will be like more like here, and then it will start to kick off and kick down, which will help the quad not overshoot there at the little ends. So that's what that's there for. And you can see a little bit more in the help here. Cuts feed forward as the sticks move towards the maximum deflection to minimize the overshoot at the start of a flip or a roll. So that's how you can get rid of that little bit of overshoot from that end. And just have a look. All right. All right, so looking at this a little bit more. Let's see if he has. Been noticing some stuff with, yeah, it seems like it's working right. It's interesting. I flashed up a quad and I was doing some hover tests, and with dynamic idle turned on, I noticed it was idling really high. I thought there was kind of an issue with dynamic idle, but then I went back and was looking at some logs and looking at even this one. It doesn't seem like there is. So I don't know. I'll have to do some more testing on that. So that's why I was kind of took a little sideline there. I was checking that out. You can see in some slower rate moves here. This down here, pitch axis. Here it's, not quite following his rates for stick inputs. Looks like a full rate stick deflection forward. So I don't know. I don't think feed forward is, feed forward is on this quad is high. You're exceeding the rate. I think the biggest thing he probably needs to do is, that's okay. You can exceed it a little bit. That's fine. Maybe it's a tad high. Bring it down a little bit, but that max rate thing, I would definitely bring that down. Probably to 80, 75, something like that. 70, 80. See what that does. You're probably lost leader to try to get it to really follow at the end of a sharp input. And then I would look more just at the rest of the normal flights. You know, how well is it tracking for the rest of the flight where you're not just doing sharp inputs, where you're kind of doing moves or tricks. You know, kind of look at those tricks and certain moves and how is it tracking for you in those for consistency to get those down. Again, if you reduce that max rate, you'll get that kind of lopped off here. So, because then there's other spots of it where it's still a little behind, as you can see right there. So yeah, cool. So yeah, that's that. So if anybody else has anything, so let me kind of pull this back up. Starts to overtake the set point. The only thing that helps is reducing the rates, blah, 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 blah. So again, yeah, I guess to kind of close that off, again, I think where you have feed forward, maybe a touch high, maybe bring it back a little bit. You had that to 1.8, maybe 1.7, something like that. But then that max rate, bring that down. I'm going to change this down to like 75 or 70 or something like that. Just so it's not overshooting at the very end of the moves. And that should square you away. It's whenever, one thing in here when you're looking at this, I think he says that it overtakes, like if I go back to this move here, and set that, that's right. Like you're not worried about this line going ahead, this line here, this feed forward line. You're not worried about this going ahead of the green line. Those two things are not, they're not on the same tracking. The only things that are tracking in between here is the set point and the gyro. Those are the two things. And again, the reason it's overshooting here and here and here is because you're a little heavy on the feed forward. So I'd back down some, like I said, and then again, bring that down on the max rate. All right, so that's to wrap those up. Does anybody else have any questions in the chat? I think that's all we had. Oh, we had another item here. So there is a B-Brain BL V4 all-in-one. I have the hex for Betaflight 4.4, but can't figure out which target to use in the Betaflight to flash it. So B-Brain is kind of funky, and it sounds like you're on the right track. That you have to get your hex files from, so let's look this up. And I think the short answer is you don't need to worry about, if you have a hex file, so let's go to the short answer here. If you have the hex file and you are clicking load local right here for B-Brain, you most likely do not need to worry about what the target is up here. I'm pretty sure, yeah. They don't have anything. Look at the B's here. CR. Oh no. BRA. No. No. All right. So yeah, I'm pretty sure when they compile their hex files, they compile the whole thing all together. So you're going to be hitting load local for the hex file that you're going to download from B-Brain's website, and you're just going to flash that once you hit load local. So that's a short answer. The long answer is, if I'm not reading you right, is you have to find your target on here. So let's go look for this here quick. So this would be the B brain, B for B, blah, 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 blah. That. Go to here. BPR bill, built-in one, crossfire. Is this an all-in-one? It's priced like an all-in-one. Should be an all-in-one. Yeah, it's an all-in-one. Yeah. All right, so this is your all-in-one. You would get the firmware from here. You have to pick the right one. This is with Crossfire, so there was another listing for Express LRS. And then I'm assuming this is what you're downloading. Now this, again, is for Crossfire. It's probably a better link to go to the Express LRS one. I bet you have Express LRS. Probably this one. And then in here, there's a couple different versions of it, which to add even some more confusion. But again, when you're downloading these, which I need to download. I have one of these, I think. You just flash that hex. You're going to download this hex file and you're going to flash that straight up. And you're not going to worry about the targets in Betaflight. So that addresses that. Anything else that we need to hit up? If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Now is the time. Let me see. Have that all addressed. All right. Question in the chat. Go to here. All right. T Blood says, thank you for your presets. Flies great on my Master 5 HD. Just wondering if I'm looking to add a little more power, where would you start? Master multiplier, default flew like trash, but seems like I got more pop. So if you have more pop, I'm assuming that you mean it like more, like the motors wound out more, like did they seem to scream a little higher on default? That would be normal. Default has a lot of filtering and fairly low gains, so all that filtering allows the PID controller to get the motor commands all the way near the top. Like, so what happens, and look at just any log. See if this guy has some full throttle punches here, hopefully somewhere. Come on, come on, come on. I don't think there is any here. I have some full throttle punches in a flight thing. A little more hang time. I had a little more hang time. They were not happy though, yeah. So if you add a little bit more hang time in the default, I mean, you can look to lower your D-shot motor percent. So kind of just backing up here just a second. There's multiple options in the preset. So I look at UAV Tech, and I'm assuming it's probably this one. You know, you have multiple options here. If you're checking out dynamic idle, you might want to check it out without dynamic idle. I gotta look at that because I swear I turned it on for a quad and it had the motors idling faster than they should be, like at 15%, and it should have been down. Now, I'm looking at other logs and even logs I had the same day for full flights, and I didn't see that behavior. I noticed it on a line of sight test. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining something, but it doesn't hurt to reapply the preset with dynamic idle off to see if that increases your hang time. I'm assuming you had, you selected one of these filter options here, maybe turned on the RPM filter or not. If you're trying to to kind of take it to the next level with the preset already applied, let me apply this preset, I guess. That, and we're going to turn the dynamic idle off. If you have not tried out the high build quality, um, how how I would run, how I would try to run, well, my best advice, see if your quad can run. Check out with dynamic idle on and off. I like dynamic idle normally. I got to see if there's a bug or something there. But normally I like to try dynamic idle. I like to use high build quality, RPM filter off. I don't use that. I think if I've been noticing things fly kind of better without it. But check it out either way, each their own. Now it's going to be less tolerant. Like if you're like, oh, I'm bando bashing or I hit branches left and right, my props are trash and I'm turtle mode and then I would use RPM filter. But if you're not beating the bejesus out of it, yeah, give it a shot with RPM filter off. Try to get to this high build quality either way, and then RPM on or off, whatever you want there. So we're going to pick that, and you can try dynamic idle on and off just to see if that increases your hang time. Just note, turn dynamic idle on, go out, do some line of sights, pop up in the air, and just drop throttle and listen to how low the motors go in RPM, and then turn dynamic idle off and try the same thing again. See if you notice a difference, because maybe that's adjusting your hang time thing if there is a little bit of a bug there or something that's not mostly known. But I'm not seeing it in full flight, but I did notice it when I did some line of sight stuff, so I don't know what's happening there. From there, like if you're like, all right, that I got that going, well, what else can I do for this thing? Then it's the master multiplier. Get into here. I mean, these are pretty high already, buddy. So, yeah, you can go into here and see if you can bump those up. You know, you might be able to get up something like that, 1.75. It's all about this master slider, eke out more performance. Again, it's going to be a little less tolerant. The higher you go up with this, it's going to be a little less tolerant for the really beat up props and beat up motor bells and stuff like that. But you will get better prop wash performance. So you got to kind of, feel your comfort level in there. You know, where's the balance of what you're looking for? Peak flight performance, but it's not as tolerant to beat up stuff, or hey, I'd rather have a little less prop wash, but I want it to be, more resistant to beat up bells and props and things like that. Usually what I do is I try to get on a raggedy set of props that are pretty raggedy, not like missing half of the prop, not drastic. Like this one here. I mean, these aren't that raggedy, but this one here, like I don't know if you can see that. Like it's got like stuff missing off the end of it here. It's not that fresh or clean, but it's, I've seen worse too. This one you can see on the other side is like it's got like a notch out of it here. Like, that's not ideally balanced, anything like that. So I leave that on there. So leave on some raggedy, and then try to move this master up, and then try to get to the high build quality. The high build quality really optimizes your filters. If you can't, then there might be some vibration-y things. Mess with that animal first. Yep. Try turning off dynamic idle. Yep, high build quality already. Mostly park cruising. Yeah, if you're park cruising, you can probably high build quality, and you could probably move that master up. I would assume park build cruising, you're not. I would say bandos are probably the biggest thing where people really just beat the crap out of stuff, and you got to kind of be a little cautious about how high your gains are. She might be able to move that master up some. So yeah. All right. And this is what I was seeing on here. Might as well pull it up. Since I don't see any other questions in the chat. If you have any questions, throw them in there. I'm going to go off on a tangent. So this is what I was noticing the other day. Going to here, just hooking up to my quad. All right, got a log in the Discord, so we'll pull that up real quick. So yeah, this is what I was seeing. So this is this quad that I did a lot of flights on. Let me pull this log down as well. Which 5.1 FPV. Where did you post that in the Discord? General? General tuning. General tuning. Got it. All right. Let me download that. What you looking for on that one? Just general look-see? All right, so it's not the log. Must have been a quick arm. Let's try this one. Or this one. Booze up. Download this at the same time. SpeedyB. I pulled the flight controller since you couldn't tune it. Oh no. What SpeedyB version is it? Oh, F3. V3. What's wrong? Ooh, I see something. This part doesn't look good. All right. So let's look. Yeah. So let's look at what you got here. See a lot of little vibrations and oscillations here. Let's look at the spectrums graphs on this one. Oh, this is a 9-inch. All right, all right. A little bit, yeah, a little bit more tricky. All right, so that looks okay. 9 hertz there. It's got the dip, so that's good. It's got the dip over here. That one looks all right. So the Foxier runs much better. Interesting. Yeah, the speedy. I'm surprised that the V3 still doesn't run good for you guys. I see on here Burke 3D saying that same thing, that the Speedy B's not running well for the larger quads. That surprises me. And the Foxier is that much better. Interesting. All right, so the noise performance, and it was the same tune on each one, huh? Crazy. What we got on that? So it's the roll axis. Got a lot of oscillation stuff going on here. Let's take what you got on the tune. Yeah, you got some. I mean, the gains they're not that high, not for a 9-inch. PIDs are filter slider. Got the ones on the filter sliders. Yeah, filters aren't crazy high or anything. And the gains, yeah. Now it depends on the weight. If it's a 9-inch and it's pretty light, these are probably, you know, gains right where they need to be. If it's pretty, it's you know, when you get into these bigger quads, it really depends how big of the battery you have on there. But that's interesting. So yeah, on this one, you know, I'm not seeing signs of, like, I see the sinusoidal oscillations here. I don't see like electrical noise stuff. But obviously the difference between, so you can see there's not, it's almost like the gains are a little bit too high. Whenever you see this, and you start to see the D term go in a sine motion like that, I usually just bring the gains down. So, I mean, you switched that already. If you didn't switch it out, what I would do is, if you think it is electrical, again, the 48K advice, if you're not there already. But that's kind of a compromise. And then I would just pull the gains down. Usually when you see the D gain and the sinusoidal like this. But it's odd. It's interesting to me that you were able to take this flight controller off, put on a Fox ear, and it same settings. You're saying same settings as you had here, and it flew just fine. So obviously, you know, there's something. There's a difference there. Um, Now the Fox ear, did that have? Because this Speedy Bee should have the BMI gyro on it. Yeah, did that Foxier? I don't know what the Foxier has. The Foxier, what did I don't know if you named it. Foxier F. What's that have? Foxier. What are we talking about? This one? V4? Yeah, ICM. So you're going from one gyro type to another. So that might have an impact where the well, yeah, if it's an 8K PID loop, then it's definitely ICM, something like that. Where the other one is definitely a lower PID loop than that. This should have a, yeah, this should have the BMI. So this has the 3 point some odd tune loop. I don't know. I don't see anything. I wouldn't throw it in the trash for sure. I'd give this sucker another chance, maybe with lower PID gains, because I'm not seeing anything here that is like, oh yeah, it's electrical noise. Maybe the gains were just a little high. I don't know if you tried lower gains, but you might have tried that already. SB was 3.2. Yeah, that's what I agreed. So you're saying you really want to like it, but maybe I'm going to build someday. I wouldn't throw it away. I don't see anything here that's jumping out at me like, oh yeah, that thing's trash. Go ditch it. 9-inch is a tough build. Big motors give a lot of back EMF. Again, I don't see anything here. When I see these spectrographs, and I see that they're, don't have or do have the dip. This dip is so important to me, at least, that this is all motor noise and stuff like that throughout the entire flight range, but it having this dip is good and is definitely there, so that's good. Not like that broad spectrum that we saw before on that other quad. So that's a sign that you don't have an electrical noise issue because you see that dip. Maybe it's that BMI, just the way that gyro is working, lower PID loop, just a little bit more sensitive to those same gains. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't throw it away. Give her another shot. I'm sure she would fly great on a 5-inch if you have any of those or whatnot. Yeah, I'd be interested to know the follow-up if you ever do try it on another quad. But looking at that, I don't see anything jumping out that's electrical noise concern. I just see a lot of D-term oscillation, and that D-term oscillation looked like it was all on the roll axis. So this gain 58 on rolls, maybe a little high for it. Terry Burnett, thanks for the $10 super chat. Appreciate that. No question attached, but appreciate the support. And what else do we got? All right, 7 o'clock. Well, I guess we're at where we need to be. Our Kakute has been the best 4-in-1 ESC. So Bad for Life talks about a Kakute 65 amp. Has been the best 4-in-1 ESC. I can switch to this. Best 4-in-1 ESC for me for noise handling of the big rigs. I believe it was okay, yeah, I have to keep that in mind. Kakute 65A. 65 amp. Kakute 65 amp. The big thing I'm looking for is if you guys ever know what is a good all-in-one flight controller that for like a larger quad class. That is a tricky one where folks are looking for all-in-ones for like a 4-inch that's almost like a 5-inch. Some of these lightweight long range quads, That's so tricky. Those all-in-ones, man. So if you guys know, if you're like, yeah, I use this all-in-one, and she's been, that brand, make, model, whatever it is, on 4 inchers and even like a 5 inch long range and no electrical noise issues, and she's working good. Yeah, I'm all ears. I'd love to love to hear about it because that's a tough mark um, for that kind of size. So, I yeah, the Beast flight, iFlight is the only thing I didn't get was a Barrow. Yeah, so you're saying so Terry's saying the Beast H743 all-in-one V2 updated from Betaflight 4.1, and the only thing I didn't get was the Barrow. I'm gonna miss it. So yeah, the Beast I've heard are pretty good. I just haven't had. Yeah, maybe I need to pick one up. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out to the stream this afternoon. Hope you guys all are well. Hope you found that helpful and interesting. I'll be back hopefully sooner than later. I'd like to try to increase the frequency of doing some live streams, helping folks out. I'm liking this time slot. Seems to work for me. Hopefully it works for you guys. It should. It's a semi decent balance, right? It's a little late for folks in Europe. It's 11 o'clock's not too late. Um, West Coast, it's not even dinner time yet. So yeah, seems like a decent time. Works for everything, but we'll see. Thanks again, guys. If you do have any questions, burning things that we didn't get covered or whatever, don't hesitate to jump onto the Discord and tag me if you need specific help. We have folks on there that are helping out people all the time. I'm sure there's a lot of spots to getting help as well. But yeah, if there's stuff we didn't cover that you needed to be hit, or if I missed something, don't hesitate to drop a line on that. Thanks again. Have a good night.